Hello. My name is Jack Blade, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, depending on if you're new here or not. If you are new and you like this video, remember to subscribe, like, and comment, and I'll do all those fun things. But wait off a little bit, because first, let's go through this episode and see if you actually like the content that I make. So today, we are going to continue with the final project on this save, which is the mega refinery to the left on the screen. And I just wanted to do this shot because I realized that the starter base is literally next to it, and just compare the scale. Like, that little factory on the right was where we started, and it has been completely dwarfed by the size and magnitude of the project on our left, which is the final one. So we start and finish pretty much in the same place, and let's get into it, shall we? So last time we did a lot of detailing. We started a section up with walls and stuff like that. And I kind of want to continue with that today and finish off what I would call like the copper section of the factory with its exterior detailing primarily, but also with some of the like base layers of the detail and like design interiors for later. So let's go over to that. With the shapes and everything that we've had like mocked up and everything to see what it looks like and what it feels, and I've been letting it rest for a little bit and bake in the back of my brain to see what it feels like. And I think that if we can add some non-standard like shapes here, like underneath, and like pull it in a little bit, like from the sides and stuff like that, I think this top can look really well. Because if we just continue straight down from here, I think it's gonna get real squarish and real boring real quick. So what I'm going to try and do is like model the rest of the factory, which if you can see on the right side of the screen, where we have the checklist, where I want to see if we can kind of use the remaining factory parts or like sections that we need to put in, so that they actually did like make the shape a little bit different for the factory, so it's not just one big square, which is one of my main like criticisms for myself over with that one, is that it's just one big like rectangle cube thingy, and I kind of want to avoid that here. So let's I'm first going to start with like finishing this exterior. So I'm just going to cut over and we're going to see what it looks like when that is done. So there we are. As you can see, it has vastly changed in the feel, the shapes, the visuals, the shading and everything is put in. And if you want to learn how I go about planning this and like layering things, you can go to my tips and tricks series here on YouTube, and you can find a video which is like mastering design theory in like 3 simple steps for Satisfactory. And I've basically been using that here to create this. And in terms of like picking colors, I've made a video on color theory where you can see how different colors can blend together, and there are different like ways of using the color system in Satisfactory to create these interesting colors that makes your builds really pop in terms of the feel and visual. So I've been using that pretty much. And what you can see here is the copper sections fully done externally. Yeah, and as you can see, like when I mean fully done externally, that is with everything except the third layer in that video, which I talked about, was like life, movement, and noise, so to speak, to it. And that's gonna come in when I do the intake and or input output parts of the factory, with the train sections that are gonna be going out here, where I pretty much have to build like 6 or 7, like you can see on the right side, all the raw resources that we need to take in. We also need to be able to output the 37,700 or whatever it is parts to like, so that also needs trains, right? So we need to build that here, and we need to draw the like conveyors like back and forth here as well. And later on in this episode, we're actually going to look at like the concept of like how those logistics are going to look. But for now, as you can see, this is the exterior for the copper section done. So with this, you can see this is the color scheme that we will pretty much be using for the entire build on the external side. However, the shapes will be doing the heavy lifting to really differentiate this from, like, you can see that this is one big ass just flat surface that I have just added in some curves and stuff, doing some bumps and these like bay windows and stuff like that to break up a very large flat surface, and like added in some colors and some lines of different like shades and everything to make things pop. So this is generally like something that I want to fix later, and I'm probably going to fix that with the steel foundries and make them like literally start out like here somewhere in terms of like shape. If I make them start out here and then go literally across all the way out here, so I literally don't use this length, I use this length for as much as I can. So I can go pretty far here without starting to take damage, as you can see. So I can probably make like a thing that just cuts through the base shape here to create some like contrasting shapes. So there's not just contrast in colors, there's also contrast in shapes. And that's kind of what I want to do. And you will be able to see that like in a 1.0 playthrough for Satisfactory, when that starts, I have actually even planned some, and this is going to be a really difficult thing to pull off for me, and that's going to be diagonal builds. Like diagonal factories are going to be a thing in that one, so stay tuned. But yeah, that's basically like this for the copper. And if we fly inside, you can see I've tried basically planning from up like here, from the top. This is how you get to the top level of the factory, right? And if I stop flying, it's been a while since I didn't do that. So you can see here, I can go down and I can reach the logistics floor on foot for this factory, right? So that's one big thing that I wanted to have available, right? I want to be able to walk to each floor. And then if we continue down, and here we go. Let's just slide here. And then boom, we have the next floor of copper, right? And then, as you can see, I've also tried to break up. I will add some more detail and stuff to this later on when we're doing the interiors, but for now it's just like I've added some shape. Same thing with the walls. I've added some shape, and the detail is mostly added to not mess with the core aesthetic of the exterior. So it kind of feels like you shouldn't feel like you walk inside and you're in a different building. But yeah, like, and then like none of the like going up and down is going to be on that side of the building. All of that is going to be over here. So then I can exit through this door, and I find like a catwalk down, and then I can access the logistics floor for the final 210 refineries. And then I have pre-made this down to where we're going to make the next level, which is iron refineries. And I have been like, I'm gonna block that off somehow or add a foundation or something. I don't really know yet, but yeah. So let's look at some the actual close stuff to what I've done for the detailing specifically. As you can see here, I've messed with a little bit of ramp walls, and I've tried to place that in here. And this is a method that I'm using to hide some of the said fighting, because if you look here, like these walls, they clip through, and sometimes they fight with this foundation. So to avoid any of that, because that is like, sometimes when I load the game, it's there, sometimes when I load the game, the said fighting is not. So what I've tried to do here is add in interesting shapes, like so, to really like break that up and avoid the said fighting entirely. And done the same thing on pretty much every corner, and like messed around with that to like there should be some kind of uniformity, but still not just like straight edges. And I've kind of tried to incorporate, like you can see we have this like here So I've tried to use like, okay, I'm going to use ramps for a lot of these interesting shapes. I'm going to use these tilted walls as well. I've used them a lot. And like you can see up here, like I've made this where you can technically like walk around up here and have like safety railings and stuff like that. And I know that if this was an environment, like if I was thinking realistically, if I had this environment where this roof is tilted in this direction, it would mean that we collect rain and snow and stuff like that, if that was the environment we were living in. Which is why, for that, now I haven't placed anything in here yet. I've missed this part. This is genuinely like a mistake on my part. There should be a foundation there to help break that up. But in a realistic setting, if you make a roof like this, you would also then have to plan like an internal like drainage logistics. You might even want to like recycle like melted water. You can use the heat from these exhaust. Like if you drained everything in here and you ran them in canals around here and made things melt, if it was snow and ice and stuff, and then you can like pull them down, like if you have the walls in there. So in those walls, you can add like filters. On a lower level, you can have what's it called, plants and stuff like that, or a greenhouse if you want to make like a really like sustainable, like recycle and like super modern building. Like that's how you would make, like if it was like realistic, if it was real world kind of stuff. Because if you have a roof like this, and this is something I learned like here in Sweden, if you have a roof like this that then is packing snow, you could probably pack snow up here that weighs more than the entire building by itself. And you will have like roofs caving in and stuff like that, especially when there's like windows like this on top. You don't want that. So either you would have to heat the entire roof, which you could do with just like running like heat spreaders across the roof from the exhaust pipes here. That would fix that. But you could instead use the water and snow and stuff and run it into the building, filter it, and then use it inside this building for watering plants or greenhouses and stuff like that, as an irrigation system. But for now, I've basically just like made this with the assumption that the environment we're in doesn't really change. There's no snow here. Even if the trees and everything suggest that we live in, like, you can see that some of these trees, they look very much like they're in a tropical environment and stuff. So that's basically what I've been assuming and going off of. But there's also some normal trees and stuff like that you would find in a like more taiga-esque environment. But I feel like that has been more like the northern forest, like the way up over there where we have our heavy modular frame factory, like over there. So that's basically how I've been planning that. Sorry, I need to get something to drink. My throat is seizing up a little bit. But I will see you guys in the next clip, in which we will take a look at the next step, which I believe is going to be, yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna do the refineries. So we'll see. I'll bring it back in once I've had something to drink and I have my voice back and have done some more work on this thing. All right, so we have the progress a little bit here, right? So I just want to take you guys in and show what I'm doing. We're gonna have to place 160 of these, and I am considering underclocking so that it matches the output of those 157, but also not, because it's easier to work with like the full numbers of this. With the 65 and the water specifically is gonna make it a lot easier to plan out with. But as you can see, I have not, there's no logistics for here yet. So how have I gotten the blueprints here? Well, the way this works is I can go in and I can grab the pure iron and I can basically, now I can use the blueprint like thing to snap it to the side here. That's no problem, I can do this. But for the first ones, I just place them like towards the ceiling and they will do perfectly and match up perfectly like this. So that's basically what I have done. and then I use the snap to blueprint build mode and use that and just place it out. So I'm gonna continue doing this until I have 160 placed out, which is like, it's not even one floor of the copper progress or copper refineries, but it is a really, really good, what's it called? It's a really good place. I thought would bring you in and guys show you, because I've basically just like I did the calculations here. Oh, I've forgotten to paint this one. Of course I have. It's the same for all of them. Yep, I forgot to paint them. So I've got to do that as well. But, or I can fix the blueprint as well, but might be more work than just clickety-clackety, because then I have to remove everything and start over. But yeah, then I, where was I? My brain just went bloop-a-doo. I went derp. What I was gonna say was that I basically did the calculations, like how much iron ore can I run on a line here, and there's 5 refineries. It's 5 times 35, which 5 times 35 is 175. So if I place 2 on a line, there's 20. So that is 10 times 35, right? And then I was looking at like like iron. If I'm bringing that in over here using smart splitters and the staggered manifold thing that I've shown you guys over with the bauxite in the red factory, then I have this nailed down, so I can put like fully fuel 2 full like 10 and 20 lines, right? Because if I can fuel 20 like this, no problem. And then I just take the excess, and that goes over and like helps fuel the next section or 2 like this, and I do that on both sides. That's pretty much like my plan for that. I'm gonna show you a part of that. There's gonna be other stuff earlier on that helps deal with like what's it called? Like it's gonna be a backup, like overflow protection kind of thing, or backup protection. That's gonna happen out by the train stations. But yeah, I also forgot to mention before that I've added in all of these pillars to kind of like give us, like, it gives me a visual of like the outline. So if I'm going to break down a squarish shape here, I know that like if I want to bring things in, I know I can't go like beyond these pillars here, pretty much. With the blueprints, so that I can do like a straight line, like tilt in to change up the shape. But I still want to give like a sense of solidity and support. So I have this here. I might actually even, like later down the line, and when I know how much space and stuff I have to work with, I might even add in this, where I go and I place in this over top here, and I go zoop, and I, oh no, vertical, here we go, and place this in. So I have something like this to really create this solid sense of like support beams, like this factory can stand up to its own weight, and the resources coming in and the movement happening in here. Because when we're looking at big buildings like this, not only the wind, but also like Newton's third law, and like water is heavy as hell and it's moving, which means that when it hits something that needs to stop, for example, the tanks inside there, like all of that affects things when you're looking at like architectural engineering and stuff like that. Oh, I bet real civil engineer loved hearing that type of engineering. Architectural engineering. Yeah, starting a war. That you kind of like need to have all those things in consideration when you are building something or designing something. If you want to make it look somewhat real and feel real, like you can make like the fantasy factories and fantasy buildings and everything 100% if that's your style. I just like to have like a sense of, yeah, this is what you would do. This is where you would put safety railing. This is where you would put a catwalk or a stairs or like stuff like that. And that's literally just because it challenges me to think about how it would be and actually look things up, like labor security laws and stuff like that, which is really interesting. Dry, but it's like fascinating to me because I love all kinds of like information and knowledge. But yeah, like that's a something that I have basically been doing with the pillars. And over here, to make it seem like I get this like infinity kind of thing, you can see I've put this here, but these, they just continue into nowhere. And basically, if I go, which one is it there? And I turn off the fog, you can see that it actually just stops, just like the stones and stuff. But because of the fog, it gives this like infinite, like they just go down into infinite, and there's gonna be a bottom down there somewhere, because this isn't an island. This is supposed to be like on a moon or something. I would assume a moon. That seems like very much a like proper planet there. That like there's a bottom to these waterfalls, and there's like something down there. So that's where we run the pillar down to, and we've made the foundation, essentially. But yeah, I'm gonna continue placing these things so we can get this done, and then we will see what it looks like when they are. So I'll be back in a split second for you guys. All right, here we go. We have our iron refineries put in, 160 of them, and I have downclocked them. Like I decided to do that anyway, but I might revert that. We'll see. Like it's not a big deal. I can literally just go back and go like this and just copy, then go along like this and just paste and make sure that it hits every like factory. Like that. This is the easy part. And I'll just do that while talking actually. So what have I also done? Because once again, I got a little bit carried away, and also I lost one of the saves for my scenes. Like I've told you before, I make like scene markers using save games, so I progress. So when I start the episode and say, hey guys, welcome back, and remember to subscribe and all that kind of fun stuff, I have already played through the entire like episode's progress, and then I'm just like going through and recording and like talking to you guys. And if I want to make changes, I kind of have to make them here where I'm at now, which is the like latest save in the progress. But I lost one of those, so I'm one scene ahead of where I wanted to be, because I wanted to show you guys this where it was completed before I went on to show you what I was gonna do with the logistics for these sections, like the copper and iron specifically. And what it turns out as is essentially that I'm like 3 hours ahead of where I wanted to be. But yeah, so with this, we should have now fixed all of these. So the back at being normal, like clocking speed. And I put in logistics floor, and something that I've learned, and this is a fun thing, you can see that there's a little bit of a difference here in terms of the height. That's because that's an inverted ramp underneath here, and this really it really messes with things when you're using this, because, and I've learned this, and I will show you guys upstairs in a second, when you're using the belts, you can see here they go down and then up, because it's snapping to the floor, or it's snapping to the ceiling down here. It's snapping on this side. You can see it goes like this, right? It's snapping there. It's not snapping to this as if it was the top. So this is something that I will actually go and report to Coffee Stain, because like I would rather these actually snap to the right side. Like mechanically, it seems like they've just turned them upside down, but the game still looks at this side as the bottom. So it sees this side as the top of the foundation. So a little bit of a bug. I don't know if they know about it, but I will check it out, and if they haven't registered that as like, hey, we know about it, I will actually report it. But yeah, as you can see, we have the logistics floor entirely like put in here. I still haven't repainted these. Might as well do that now, considering we are in the latest save. But yeah, basically I have to go to each corner of these, and then the actual lift part will just recolor itself when I reload the save. And sometimes when I leave the area and come back and it loads in, it also fixes itself. So yeah, here we go. And I hope that you guys like the series so far, because I'm going to kind of go ham on this. The Shapez 2 videos that I've been making have been quite detrimental to the channel's growth, but I really liked making them. So I want to keep making them, but I can't put them on the channel, or at least not public. I need the Thursday time slot to continue making this, because I only have, what is it now? It's the 1st of September when I'm recording this, and this video goes up, I think. Yeah, it's Sunday, yeah. And I kind of want to like go ham on this, so I'm gonna push out 2 Satisfactory episodes for this project every week. I say as if there's a lot of time left. I only have 2 episodes left, and the final episode I kind of want to make a world tour for this. So I'm going to go absolutely ham this week and knock out this project. And I will probably have, like, it might be longer videos, or there might just be more progress with like a little bit more like cuts and stuff in the videos. I don't necessarily like that too much. I want to show you the scenes and like show you the visuals and everything, and explain some of the mechanics and my logic in terms of like the logistics and stuff like that, to really give you guys like a rundown and some inspiration, like, hey, this is how you can deal with these problems, or how you can use these mechanics and everything. Because I feel like if you're a new player and you followed my series, we're far enough into the game that what I'm doing here isn't hard for you to understand on a mechanical level. So I'm just trying to help add in some like thinking in terms of like the logistics part of things, because that is the like the biggest gripe there is with specifically games like this. And for me, it's like I make it or break it for some, like if I'm going to recommend a game to someone or not, is, do you actually like the logistics of the game? Do you like running train lines? Do you like messing around with like drawing different belts and calculating what you can do with each belt and how many machines you can do on a line before you need to break it up and like all that kind of stuff? Because when you break it down, you actually look at the core of games like Satisfactory and Factorio and Foundry, Shapez 2, like no matter what you're playing, it's all just logistics. If you want to automate something, it's logistics, because there's no actual logic in the game, at least not yet. So all you're looking at when you are looking at games like Satisfactory, Factorio, and like all that, you are looking at logistics. Resource flow. Which resource, how much, and what is it combined with, and where does it need to go next? That is the entirety of the game. And if this part here is boring to you, you probably won't like the game in the long run. So that's why I kind of want to help people that do really like this part to get a feel for what they can do. For example, why have I designed the blueprint that I have, the way that I have? Well, number one, I am going to run the water in the ceiling in here, so I have the floor free. Why do I want the floor free? It's specifically so that I can take the output here from all the machines and pull them down in the middle all along the line here, and then I will pause over here, right? That is literally what I am intending to do. And I will show you because I've done that for one of the floors upstairs. And then I can show you over here, where on this side, the plan straight up is to use this side as the input for the ores. So water comes in from this side, ores come in from this side. And you can see this with how the belts go here. They go down, and I will be able to connect up these, right? Because we looked at that before. You can use 20 for one resource line. Meaning that, let's see, I can get that away. Meaning that you have 10 here and you have 20 here. So I can actually just put a smart splitter there and a smart splitter there. So the overflow connects up over here to the next part, where I put a merger here, where the new line goes in and just continues on here. Easy peasy. And then I just go down the line and continue doing that, and like sending in the remainder into the next line, next line, so on. With this side being the input, and then the center, this part here, is where all the output's gonna be. That's essentially what I've been thinking here. And if you remember, I talked about like the priority and like volume distribution, where you had the, let me see if I can do this in a very quick manner so you don't have to go back and watch that video. Like you have when you do city planning and like road planning specifically, you have local roads, and then you have on top of that the next level of like size in terms of volume, in terms of speed and everything. You have collector lanes or collector roads. These are just representations, like because of the change. And then on top, like larger than the collector roads, you have what's called arteries, like this. So these are small local roads. They are the slowest speeds. They have the least amount of volume and traffic. And then you have the collectors, and these tend to be parallel. Like if you're looking at this from a logistics perspective, you have like these running in one direction, and then you take this and you connect them in this way with other local roads, so you get collection like that. And what I've done here is essentially take everything and run it on, like I've completely skipped pretty much, like the local roads is just this, like this center line here for the output. This is a local road, and the same thing goes here. This is a local road. So where am I using the collector? The collector is this part, the collector is this part that goes here, the inputs, the smart splitters and the staggered manifold that goes in. That's the collector. So what comes next is the artery. And the artery is they have a lot of traffic. They have a lot of volume. They are like the way that you move, like in terms of like cars traffic and like people and pedestrians and stuff like that. They are the massive arteries that move the majority of everything throughout a city, so that you don't get any blockages and stuff like that. And in logistics, this one has to basically run like parallel to this one, because the artery needs to connect with a collector in like cities. We don't need to do that logistically though, because the closest thing we get to that is the I will show you guys later, but first let's go to the next, and that's like the final part, which is our train lines, which is our trucks and drones and that stuff. It's the inter-factory logistics, where you have your highways or freeways. These are the four like sizes. These are four like priorities and concepts that you need to think about when you plan logistics. So as long as you look at a factory and go, am I actually doing is this like conveyor section, is it going to be a collector, is it going to be a local road, or is it going to be a artery or highway? basically is the highway. Is this going from this factory to another factory? If we look at how I've done that up here with the copper, because I put that in on the top floor. So I'm going to just show you guys the concept of it. So you can see that I've put in a bunch of stuff here, and because of how the copper works in terms of magnet or volume that you get out, I can run one line for 20 what's it called, refiners, instead of having to double it up. That's something that I have to do downstairs with the iron. But this here is the artery. This is the big thing, moving things throughout the factory pretty much. And then this here, you would consider, like this specific section, you would consider a collector, right? The collector connects to the artery. And then you have all the local roads here, right? And I can show that on another side because I've done it there. Over here, you have the collector running on this end. Here's where the copper is going to come in. Number one, it's going to go here. It's going to go over and it's going to run through half of these. And then over here, it merges up with this, with the second collector here, and it's going to fill back up and become a full belt. And it's going to keep going and run all the way down like this. And then here's where I was talking about before, creating life and everything, because I'm still going to have surplus, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. This is going to be later, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to run it out here. Like so. And then on the outside of the building, I'm not going to blow it up. No, I'm not going to open the menu. Kind of stop misclicking. Thank you. And I'm going to go out here and I'm going to basically take it and I'm going to run it all the way back, the surplus. I'm going to run it all the way back over here, and over here on this end, but down here, I'm going to merge it up with the next level and continue going, so that I know that I'm using, like, so I don't get 780 copper per minute in here, and then times 2, like 1560 per minute, and then I waste that because it's like backing up all the way out. I don't want that, but I want to create like motion in the factory. So an easy way that I could do that is just like from here I could run a smart splitter over here that had like a lift coming out of it that goes straight down and merges up down here instead. But that only creates motion here. I want it here on this end, on the outside, going across like this, so that you do get the motion. And then you have the same thing on the other end, on the other side. You also want the motion there. And then I'm gonna have a lot of, like, because then you have motion going this direction. You're also gonna have motion going up and down a little, or down technically, here. And you're gonna send some iron, because some of this iron is also meant for the steel production, right? So then you're gonna have the vertical movement of the iron ingots down here as well, and you're gonna have movement in this direction, a lot of it, because I want to have a gap between where you have air, where you can just see resources moving in for the logistics floors to be used in the factory from the train terminals. So basically what I'm trying to do there is create this, like, I'm making it more difficult for myself, essentially. Like if you break it down like that, I'm making it like harder on myself to get this working properly, simply because I want to make my logistics part of the visual design. I did a version of that. Let me just go into Fly 2. Oh, that was wrong. Fly 2, not 23. I only have 3 speeds. There we go. Now we're going into hyperspeed. 3, 2, 1, boom! Oh, and then we stopped because it didn't load. Can we go? Yeah. You can see that I've done a version of that in a very small way over here, where you can see that there is some vertical motion. Can I stop missing that button? So Fly 1, there. You can see that I have added in a version of this over here. Like, this looks like crap, but where you have a visual like thing on the outside of the factory instead of the inside of the factory, that just like adds life, noise to the whole thing. The same thing goes with like the shape of this. It adds a little bit of noise. Same thing with the hex windows, add a little bit of noise. Like I said, I'm not super happy with this. Like it looks good when I do like shots like from this eye specifically. If I fly over here and I go far enough that we start getting some of the fog in, and I do this part, yay, very happy with it, right? Because it breaks up, it doesn't look like just a big square or anything like that, but it's because I've added in stuff that creates an illusion of more dimensions than like a big rectangle cube, which is like these pillars and everything down here, they add a lot. And then you have like the corridors out here and like these indents and everything. But if you look at it, if you actually just look at it, it's one big rectangle. That's it. That's this building. It's a big ass rectangle, and that's what I'm going to avoid over here. So basically, use your logistics as part of your visuals. Like I did, and I talked about that in the video as well. Like instead of just running a normal like conveyor from one end to the other, run it on the outside. Make it visible. Like add in some fun stuff with the the metal frame pillar or whatever you want. That kind of makes it stand out, because like a lot of people that I've talked to that have gotten bored with Satisfactory, they get bored because they're building everything the same way over and over and over and over again. Like if they build a metal, like an iron plate factory, the iron plate factory looks the same as their 10 previous iron plate factories. So like my challenge to me and the way that I prevent like boredom and like going with like, okay, well, it's the same thing I built like 50 other times. It's literally by going, I'm not going to build the logistics the same way, because the logistics is the majority of the game. And if I change that up every time, it means I change up the majority of the game every single time. For example, like the water, I tried to do that in a very new way. I saw a video from someone building like a starter factory and showing something you can do with the logistics, like going up in this case, but I'm doing it going down with the water, where you can see that there's a full array of all the water going down. And then when we get down one level, now it flew out here just because of that. If we go down to check the logistics, I have pulled out 4 pipes, right? So I just remove those pipes, and I kind of try to create a symmetry of that. So when we go down yet another one, I'm gonna need to use I'm probably gonna need to use like another 4 pipes for the iron on the next level, and that's gonna, in my opinion, look very nice because like it indents and goes like staggered in a V shape like this with all the pipes, so that when we get to the final level that uses the water, all the pipes are being used in one way or another. Sometimes it can be for like supplementing like water lines. For example, like up here, if you look at how much water is needed on this top level, we have 200 refineries. Each refinery uses 10 water, 10 times 200. If you need help with that, I can just write it up so you get a visual here. 10x 200 means we use 2,000 cubic meters per minute of water, and each line here runs an even 600, and it's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Thanos would agree. Will use 2,400, and this is how I also solve. Like I'm brute forcing, making sure that there is going to be no problem with water, like in this line period. Right, there's not going to be. So each line here, this one uses 100, so I just need a Mark 1 pipe here, for example. Like all of this stuff is part of like things that I think about, not just from a functional standpoint. I am also going like, how can I make this look even and symmetrical so it adds a visual effect? Same thing here. Like I got a comment on the teaser post that I did with a photo. I think I did the photo I don't remember if I took it from this angle or if I took it from this angle. I don't remember exactly. But what I do remember was the comment said I should have packaged all the water over here and moved it with conveyors and then unpackage it where I need it here, which would be fun. But one, I want to really master moving liquids in their like liquid form using the pipes. I want to master the pipes, not just solve problems with solutions that I know will work. I want to expand my expertise of the game. Also, I wanted to create a visual spectacle of pipes that feels like very massive and all that stuff. And this is like a big thing for me when I'm moving things and using logistics and stuff in a logistics game where, yeah, you have some visual elements, but they are the minority of the game. The majority of the game, what you look at the most is going to be your logistics. This is where you troubleshoot. This is where you move resources in and out of your factories and everything. This is what you need to make it look good. This is what you need. Like if I go along this line, if I just fly here, you can see like as it staggers and gets longer and longer and wider. Like you just imagine when we turn this on, right? Because this is like each of these refineries up here is going to move 37.5, right? Times 200. That's going to be 7,500 ingots coming along this and going out here and going into trains to be moved around the world. That's going to be a visual spectacle that I am going to I want to be proud of making. And I'm not going to be able to do that if I just build the same thing over and over again, because then it's being like, yeah, I've made this 10,000 times before. Yeah, it's just a conveyor bus, duh. Up until this point, because then from here, I want to do something extra with it. Because this needs to go into a train terminal that's going to be pretty much like a separate building with like multiple, like there's going to be so many train stations in this building. It's insane. And I want to do something special with that. Visually. That's how you challenge yourself with this game. Anyone can draw a straight conveyor line that goes from one machine to another. Not everyone can make it look good. So that's the real skill of the game. And I know that that's like, for a lot of people, that's like why they enjoy Factorio more, because it's more about just the functionality. And I perfectly agree with that that's the case, and that if that's what you like, do it. But I like this. I'm really enjoying what I've done so far with this project, and I'm really looking forward to what it's going to look like when we have knocked it out of the park, which we will do, right? It's going to be, if you want to see Shapez more, I'm going to keep playing it. I'm going to keep recording videos. They're going to be less edited. I'm going to be more like just chatting along, and they're going to end up as a member privilege here on YouTube. So they're going to be live for you guys who choose to support and be members, and they are going to be on the Patreon, because it's the same benefits if you're a Patreon or if you're a member. It's the same thing, and I have gotten the pricing for that as well as close as possible to each other, so there should be like as little of a difference as possible. So if you do want to go beyond and you want to see more Shapez and see me like waffle on about like random topics for an hour with very little edits and stuff, it's gonna be chill gaming pretty much, then I highly recommend checking out the channel memberships or the Patreon. And Patreon is linked in the description. You can also come join the Discord. One of the Patreon benefits is exclusive chats and stuff like that. So, with that said, I have done everything in this episode that I have had time to make. I need to edit this together and make it go live so you guys get to enjoy it. And if you do, remember to smash that like button for starting a war with the real civil engineer. And yeah, post it so we can see it. Give him the clip of the architectural engineering. I want him to turn over. I want him to sleep badly for a month. Yeah. Other than that, we are very much rapidly in breakneck speed moving towards the 1.0 release, where I will be streaming here on YouTube. So if you want to come and hang out as we start our new 1.0 save game, then I will see you then. Otherwise, have a great day and see you later. Bye.